Hey there, I'm Andrew from Club Ready DJ School, and in this video I'm going to show you how to transition between EDM and R&B and back again like a pro. When it comes to mixing between genres, you need to be a little bit careful of your crowd and what they expect from you. For instance, if you're playing at a tech house club and you're all of a sudden mixed into an R&B or pop song, people may be a little bit confused, as generally those kind of clubs specialize in a particular genre, and if you're planning to shake things up, it may not always be received that well. And also you have to be careful because it may not be in line with the promoter's goal for the event. They might have their own vision, so it's like they want to stay true to their sound and what they do, and if you go play with that, well, perhaps they might not want to work with you. But here's the thing, if you're playing at an EDM club, and what I mean by that is like, big room bounce, more commercial dance music, right? That big drop, Martin Garrix kind of stuff. Basically, that stuff is a little bit different. So I find sometimes then you might be playing those kind of songs and perhaps mixing in a classic R&B or hip hop anthem from time to time can shake things up a little bit and work wonders. Now, I remember once I was playing at an EDM event and I was putting on really cool songs, and honestly, my crowd wasn't really responding. So I mixed in a classic R&B anthem to mix things up a bit, and it honestly renewed the energy on my floor, kind of like a pattern interrupt. And then it worked, and then I worked it back into EDM, and the crowd came back to life. It was really cool. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to mix EDM into R&B and back again, and I'll show you the best and most effective ways to do so. Now, let's start by the easiest and most straightforward and possibly the most effective way to go from EDM into R&B. And that is, honestly, to mix into the break, not even change the BPMs of the song, because this is the first thing to notice. EDM is probably roughly about 128 beats per minute, and a lot of your pop stuff and R&B might be closer to 100 beats per minute. Now, if the BPMs are close, let's say, there is some pop stuff that's actually kind of closer to the 120-ish, that means I probably can just beat match it and mix it like I would dance. But in this, I'm going to show you how to do a big BPM jump. So go from a song that's 128 into a song that's 100 beats per minute. And to be honest, sure, I can go mess with BPMs, but honestly, if you're playing well-known songs and you go move the BPMs too much, it can actually affect the way the song sounds and feels, and it might just be a little bit strange. So honestly, without messing with the song's original speed, I think the easiest and most effective way to mix R&B into EDM is possibly to come into the break. And what I mean by that is lots of EDM and dance music, after the first chorus, it might drop off like a shoo, and there'll be no beat there. Now, if I actually go into that break, it drops off shoo, and I hit play with my new song, well, there's no beat, I'm not beat matching, there's a little gap, I hit play, and I've gone from one genre to another, and I've actually moved 28 BPM. So that there, it seems straightforward, but honestly, it works, it really does. And to be honest, sometimes choose the path of least resistance. If it's easy and it works, well, go for it. So I'll give you an example. Say I'm doing this and I'm going EDM, and maybe I'm thinking it's time to mix things up a little bit. So after the chorus here, have a listen. This is in the middle of the song, and I've got a break there, and that's where I can hit play and get this out before it kicks back in. So I'll go back a little, okay? I've got my volume up. Maybe I've mids down a tiny bit so I can roll it in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get that out before it comes back in. And I've just gone from 128 to 100. And to be honest, that would work for a whole bunch of stuff. So I could do that all the time pretty much, actually. A lot of the songs have that gap, and that's a really effective way to do it. Now, the next one I'm going to show, that's from going to EDM to R&B, okay? But to go back from R&B to EDM, that's not as easy, because with the R&B and pop music in general and vocal-driven stuff, they might not have a break in the middle of the song. Usually it's just beats the whole way through. And if there's not a gap, then it's how do I get back? Now, one way is just to kind of fade it out and hit play and do a jump, but sometimes that sounds a little bit awkward. So there are a couple of ways. Now, one of the most popular ways, I guess, is to use a transition track, and that means in DJ pools like djcity.com and also bpmsupreme.com, you can actually pay like monthly subscription and get unlimited downloads. They're great places to find music. And if you're not aware of that, check out my finding music videos where I go into where's great places to, like, you know, research and download songs at high quality and have intros and all that to make your job as a DJ a lot easier. But sometimes in those sites you can get transition tracks where they've gone and pre-produced like massive BPM changes. So say for instance here, okay, I've got a song at 100 beats per minute. Let's say this is my pop song that I'm now playing. And I've gone and selected a transition track where it starts with a pop song and it goes, see, it is from BPM Supreme, Happier, and it goes from 100 to 128. So that means in here, probably in the build up, they go put a build up and that's where they do their shift. And if you're not sure how to do that manually, because you can do it yourself, you can, like, you know, actually be moving the BPM like that. If you don't know how, check out my previous video where I talked about mixing EDM to trap, and I gave you a few examples of that, and that's actually a lot of fun, so check that out. But because I've already done it in the previous video, I will leave that, and this video will more focus on the transition track where they've done it for you. So okay, so but here's the thing, you load it and people get confused because it says 128, but if it says up here at the beginning 100 to 128, to be honest, just go with the first one. So it says 100 here. So I'm going to assume this is actually 100, and 128 is probably at the second half of the song, I'd say. So, okay, so this song's 102. So I can go do my mix. Let's say then this is playing. Okay, we've got this just 0 here. Give myself some time to beat match. Okay, so I've done my mix, so I've gone EDM to this pop song, from this pop song into another pop song, and this song's going to have a transition track, and it's going to take it back up to EDM, like 128, and then I can mix an EDM song on the second half of this song where it has gone to 128. So I go here, leave the next song, I grab one, it's also 128, cool, and I'll just show, fast forward a little bit. See, this is all 100, and I think the change, have a listen. This is where they're doing it. So it's been pre-produced, they're moving the BPM, right? And then by the time the drop comes, that's 128 now, very much. Okay, now I'm gonna mix. Coming in under. And I see this is about to kick in, so I might roll this out. And now I'm back into 128. Okay, and now, you know, I could do a few EDM songs, and then when I'm ready to, if I want to go back to EDM, like pop, hip hop, I mean, I could again. I'd probably just come into the break, so I'll do one more break one for you at the moment. So that drops off into a break. And now I've gone into this, so it's just kind of like mixing it up a little bit. So okay, so this video is just sort of giving you a taste of some of the easier ways to do it. So maybe experiment, incorporate a couple of those into your playlist now. So let's say you've got R&B and you're starting, maybe you're trusting your intuition, you're like, oh, it's just sounding a bit repetitive. Maybe actually splicing it up and doing a transition track, or doing a jump into a different BPM, and from there transitioning the track back up to your EDM. Just try and play with that. It's not that difficult, and it can actually be a load of fun. It really can do a good, cool pattern interrupt for your audience. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video.